Hello everyone and welcome to the SOS Wrestling Podcast, and today on the show I have a man with me who's won championships for many companies, but has most recently been the All-American Wrestling Heritage Champion. He had a great 190-day reign with that title. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one half of the tag team Aeroform, Lyndon.
Hey, what's going on?
Alright, well first I want to thank you for being on the show, obviously. Huge honor, I've been a big fan of you for a few years at least. But the first question I ask wrestlers is how'd you get into wrestling?
I think I watched it quite a bit when I was right around the 90s, early 90s, like 92, 93, and kind of forgot about it for a while. And then right when it was the Attitude Era, ECW, 1999, I think that's when I kind of like started thinking like I wanted to wrestle. So kind of took a few years later, like 2007 or so, 2006, and then that's kind of what got me into it. That and a little bit of Japanese wrestling, so like a mix of things. And I was like, you know what, I kind of want to do this, you know. So.
Yeah. Do you remember what training was like? Because I know it's extremely rigorous, obviously.
Yeah, it was a little rough. I trained at Price of Glory in Coldwater, Michigan, as Dan Severn's school. And when you first start training there, you don't actually get to get in the ring. So you actually just you bump on the amateur wrestling pads. I don't know if you ever really amateur wrestled, but they kind of suck. So,
yeah.
It was pretty rough.
I mean, and Dan Severn is like the macho man of the wrestling business. I mean, with all the MMA Hall of Fame and stuff.
Oh yeah. It's funny too, cause he's kind of the name, behind the place. He wasn't the trainer at all. Like you'd see him come in and out, but, I trained with, when I first started, it was, Josh Abercrombie or Josh Raymond. So, yeah.
I mean, well, that makes some sense because, I mean, obviously your styles are very contrasting, to say the least.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
And most people know your brother Flip Kendrick also wrestles. Did you ever train with your brother?
A little bit. He went through Ricky Shane Page, but we didn't train together per se, so. Kind of did our own avenues, if you know.
Yeah. Well, recently you had 2 matches in just 2 days, which is impressive in itself, but those 2 matches were title matches for 2 separate promotions in towns that are 300 miles apart. And now I understand that the life of a pro wrestler is a daily grind, but it's just amazing to me that you can do that.
I don't do it, too much, anymore, but, yeah, I remember having to, I think the worst trip, I did was actually with Flip and then, Jack Farrell and Brian Skyline. We had to do it was like a quad shot or something like that. And we ended up going like, wrestling in Cleveland on a Thursday. I think they went to Milwaukee. On Friday, and I worked like till midnight or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we ended up going to New Jersey, and then we like slept at the arena, and then we after the show we drove right back, and we drove to Coldwater for a show on Sunday. I don't even know. It's too crazy to think about, you know, some of the hours you put on the road and then have to, you know, be able to wrestle too. It's kind of crazy to think about, you know.
Do you have any like crazy road stories or stuff like that? Cause I know obviously you're on the road a lot being an indie wrestler. I mean, just really any wrestler just is on the road a lot. So do you have any like stories that pop out other than sleeping at the arena?
I mean, I was thinking about one. Me, and my buddy, Jack Reville, I remember we had to do a trip to, I'm not sure exactly, it was somewhere in Indiana, for this promotion, Platinum Pro, I believe in. I think we didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into. It was kind of set up by someone else. And, I remember we we got there and we decided we didn't really have a tag team name. We really didn't tag that much, and we decided that would be the Young Lions that day. That was going to be our big tag team name. And so we got there, and there was like this Mexican restaurant, and and then there's this dude that's just talking to us, and he's just like asking us all this stuff, and we're like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And then he's like, all right, tag it up, and he's like real excited and walks away, and I'm just like, all right, that's cool. So it's a good show. And then at the end of the show, I remember we're leaving. This one kid comes and chases us down. He's like, wait, guys, wait, Young Lions. And we're just like, what? He's just like, just wanted to shake our hands. And I'm just like, man, apparently like, we made like a little bit of an impression, you know, with this random tag team name and all that. On the way home, I remember it was just like the worst snowstorm. Like it's not even that far of a drive, like a 3-hour drive. And it ended up taking like 7 or 8 hours. Like,
wow.
Like snow, like the snow was padding the highway. And I remember at some point when those, huge truck comes by and just all you could see was just powder. You couldn't see anything else. Like I thought we were gonna die, honestly. So we made it. So, it's those kind of trips usually happen. Snow, ice, that sort of thing. You just kind of just go with it.
Yeah.
But, it's always kind of crazy just thinking about it too, in retrospect.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the life of a pro wrestler. Also, part of the life of a pro wrestler, I assume, is people asking, when people realize you're a pro wrestler, what's the usual response, would you say?
Confusion. They first thing they ask about if you're either it's like amateur wrestler, like all of a sudden they say, oh yeah, my son, or like my like a friend of my son does amateur wrestling in high school, and I'm just like, oh, it's not that kind. Oh, is it the cage fighting? You know, nope, it's not that kind either. It's like the Hulk Hogan stuff. It's like, wait, what? Like, and they never wrap their head around it. It's like, wait, so you're in WWE? No, there's actual places besides just.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't know what the indies are, you know?
They have no idea.
Yeah.
They don't think it's like the same thing because it's not the WWF, WWE, you know? So, and it's like, yeah, it's actually the same thing. It's just kind of like, I just end up going into like baseball, you know, minor leagues, you know, and I guess and eventually they kind of get it, but not really. You have to like show them a video and then they're like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool, you know. That's usually how it goes.
And also, one of the things that a lot of non-wrestling fans will say is that wrestling is fake. But what do you say whenever people come at you with that?
Honestly, I'm like, I don't know. I'm getting hurt quite a bit. I'm not really sure how fake it is. Like, I mean, there's only so much you can do, and it's to the point where it's like, you know, it's not going to look real. So, and it definitely looks real. So
it's like a powerbomb hurts whether it's predetermined or not.
Exactly. Like, I don't know why people don't seem to understand that. It's like you're still putting your body on the line, you know. It's still, you know, an athletic type thing, and there's, you know, I think people just kind of just like, oh, it's fake, you know, and they kind of stick with that, you know. You can explain it, then eventually, I think.
So, to me, you're probably one of the most underrated workers in the business. I mean, you've put on great matches against some of the biggest names in the indie scene. And I have to ask you, do you have like a favorite match or that you've worked, or any matches you think people can watch and see everything that you kind of bring to the table?
Let me think of anything. I really liked last year at St. Louis Anarchy. I had a match with Jonathan Gresham. I really liked that match. You know, I think that's kind of like pretty much the, you know, epitome of like, you know, just a little bit of the kung fu and a little bit of the lucha style, some, you know, submission style, some high flying, like just like a nice blend, you know, and I think that's like probably one of my favorite matches, you know, I've ever had. So definitely that match.
And for those who don't know, St. Louis Anarchy is a promotion. It's actually the sister promotion of Anarchy Championship Wrestling in Austin. My last guest, Steve O'Reno, frequents there. Have you ever wrestled Steve?
No. I've only worked there for one weekend. I worked there just with that match and then against ACH the next night. And I haven't been able to make it back. So.
Yeah. But I know you have wrestled Davey, and I'm about to have Davey on.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite opponents for sure.
Yeah, Davey Vega we're talking about if you don't frequent the indie scene. But so we've talked about your favorite match, but do you have any dream matches, I guess?
Dream matches. So let me think.
I'm sure you can like list them off, but
yeah, no. At a time I had a match. I wanted to have a match with Kudo Hidaka, and then I ended up having that. That was like my big dream match. Of having that in Japan, so that was awesome. As for anyone else, I'd still want to wrestle any of those bigger name New Japan guys. Okada, Shibata, those kind of guys. Like I really like, dig watching New Japan. So any of those matches would be great. Let me think if there's anyone else. But, no, I think it'd be right in that realm, right around any of those dudes.
Yeah, I think that would really suit your style. I haven't seen a whole lot of your Japan stuff though. So what was Japan like?
I only had one match.
Oh really?
It was not recorded, so so you're probably able to find it. Just photos. I was only there for 2 weeks for 01. So there's only two. When I was there was 2 shows. I wasn't on the first one. I was on the second one. So definitely experience. Unfortunately, I hurt my ankle like a week beforehand. I was wrestling Dave Vega at AEW actually, and I destroyed my foot basically, and the trip was already booked and ready to go. So I just went. So unfortunately, it was kind of a struggle when I was there. So always hope to go back when I'm actually healthy. So
yeah. Well, what is it like being injured as a pro wrestler?
It kind of sucks. It's like, most people, they'll be like, okay, I'll sit out for a bit, but when you're in pro wrestling, like constantly in my head, I'm like, I have bookings. I don't want to cancel them. Like it takes to, you need to have like broken body parts and stuff like that before you cancel booking. You don't want to miss any shows, and I feel like that's like it's like a constant fight. So you honestly you end up wrestling hurt all the time, and it's kind of terrible. Then you get more injuries, So I'm sure a lot of wrestlers have gone through that. So
yeah, and especially on the indie scene, you don't want to miss a match because that match could be the best match you've ever worked.
Exactly. It could be this is your big chance. You got a big match, you don't want to miss it. Even if you're hurt, you're just like, I'll just go for it. So.
Well, you've recently had a lot of big matches against, a lot of Cruiserweight Classic competitors. What's that been like?
Oh, great. I think, who did I wrestled? Gulak early in the year. I wrestled, Cedric couple times this year, and those dudes are awesome. There's a reason why they're in the Cruiserweight Classic. It's cool though, seeing those people that you wrestled before, getting a shot at WWE. It's kind of definitely feel happy for them. So
yeah. And you wrestled Sabre Jr., right?
Oh yeah, I did wrestle Sabre Jr. I didn't mention him. Yeah, no, dude, he's crazy,
Yeah, no, he's so talented. He's probably one of my favorite wrestlers. Actually, no, he's probably my absolute favorite wrestler in the world right now, I just mark out so hard over him. It's crazy what he does.
Yeah, his mind for submissions is just
Hmm.
it's just it's out of this world. It's like something you've never seen before. Someone that can just chain together things. Like he does. It's just it's really mind blowing.
Yeah, and also that's another thing I really like about just wrestling in general, how I guess how many different styles there are, and people make new styles every day, basically. Like what's it like, um I guess having to work around or work with other styles almost every match.
I think it's definitely a cool thing about professional wrestling is that you're not stuck. It's you're not stuck watching one style. It's
Hmm.
always kind of like there's a little bit something for everybody. And it's always so cool when people blend the styles together. And that's
Hmm.
it's kind of why I like watching wrestling. It's just like lots of different things. Things can be always be different. It's not just the same stuff over and over again. That's probably definitely one of the reasons why, I ended up, being a pro wrestler, I guess the art form of it all,
Hmm.
So,
Because it's like in football, if you're an offensive lineman, you're not going to learn how to throw like a quarterback. You're just going to learn how to block.
you're just blocking.
Yeah, but as a professional wrestler, if you're 400 pounds, you may still be doing frog splashes. I mean, to the regret of your opponents, but
Yeah.
still. I mean,
No, it's kind you can just do, you could just do one thing. You could just, the equivalent of blocking, but you can do one thing. But if you want, yeah, you can do whatever you want, like
hmm.
the guy can do, all kinds of crazy moonsaults, and power stuff, so it's definitely, cool in that way compared to something like, football where you're kind of stuck in, one little thing.
Hmm. One person that comes to mind is Keith Lee. I mean, he can do a standing backflip
Oh
onto
yeah,
opponents.
I've seen these big dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I don't know if I'd be able to do that.
Hmm.
I was that big. Yeah.
I mean, you're probably one of the most athletic people on the indie scene. Only person I can really say is more athletic, definitely, is probably Ricochet, but that's because that dude's a monster. Like,
Oh yeah. No, that dude. No, those.
and you have wrestled
Uh,
him at one point, haven't you?
yes, I've wrestled him probably multiple times, but I had definitely one of my favorite matches I had at AEW. That one's actually on YouTube, somewhere actually. Um, that was cool. That was like at the height of him doing, at the very beginning of him winning the Super Juniors, I believe, in New
Hmm.
Japan. That dude
Bef-
can do
yep.
anything. Like, when it comes to high flying, he just can do anything. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was before the whole Will Ospreay thing with flipping around the ring, which was amazing.
Oh yeah. No, I ever seen that. I was like, what are these dudes doing?
Hmm.
I don't even know. Yeah, no, that is just crazy. If you could do that stuff, I mean, go for
Yeah.
it.
I mean, well, when you were going back to when you were training, did you like have a certain I guess style in mind? Did you know what you wanted to do, or did you just kind of evolve over time?
Honestly, I when I first started training, I had my mindset to be kind of a technical wrestler. And I was kind of bland actually.
Hmm.
I think I was in my kind of a world of sports phase. I think my trainer gave me like a Johnny Saint VHS with like 10 or so matches and
Oh
stuff
yeah.
like that, and I was just like, I was really into that stuff. But the problem was that as a wrestler at the beginning, a lot of times you're not going to be out there that long, and
Hmm.
it's usually just not the way things go. You're not going to do all that stuff. So I ended up just like kind of not knowing what I wanted to do, and then I was athletic, so I ended up being a high flyer,
Hmm.
basically just because I was athletic. So it really wasn't my original plan though. And then I kind of over time I kind of figured out, okay, I kind of like this kung fu, so maybe I'll kind of blend that in everything, and that that came like later, and progressed as time went on.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Did you ever, dabble in martial arts whenever you were younger?
I did a little bit. I did some taekwondo in college, but really like for my like high school, I did gymnastics. So those were kind of like the main things. And I just always been kind of a big fan of just like some of the older kung fu stuff, especially like the Jackie Chan stuff in the 70s and stuff like that, and some of the Shaw Brothers. A lot of their videos and movies. I kind of got into those for a minute and was trying to buy stuff or watch stuff online, that sort of thing. So yeah.
So going back to your early career, I guess, wrestling with your brother, like what's that like? Because you grew up with this guy. I mean, with and against. Like you grew up with this guy. I mean, and then you're in the ring pretending to punch him.
Oh yeah, it's funny. You go hard.
Yeah.
If you're wrestling your brother, you just wanna you probably go harder than normal because guys, and you have like a connection, that you don't like when it comes to like tag moves and when you're with each other, you have a connection that you don't have with other people because he's your brother, and he kind of like thinks to you, even if he's like I was more of a technical thinker with a little high flying, and he was just like high flying. So that was the difference. But otherwise, we kind of had like a connection. So it was always kind of cool, wrestling him one-on-one besides our tag stuff. So.
Yeah, and you're not gonna get beat up in the back if you're a little stiff with your brother. So
that's little brother, right?
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Yeah, so have you ever considered going behind the scenes of wrestling in the future?
Not too much. It's nothing. I haven't really thought about that or plan to do that. I've always kind of been like, I like, wrestling and, putting things into that. But, I guess if it came along, I definitely, look into it. Are you talking about like, WWE, like backstage, that sort of thing?
Or like, creative, maybe booking an indie show, stuff like that?
Oh, you know what? I'd definitely be open to something like that. Maybe a couple years down the line. Not necessarily right now. I feel like.
Yeah, no. You still, from at least what I've seen, you still have a good couple years left in you. So, yeah. But going back to creative, have you ever made your own like storylines, I guess?
I think at least in my indie wrestling career, I don't think I probably should have made more storylines. I don't feel like I've probably done enough. I think I had a nice little like feud, with Ricky Shane. I think he was going with Christian Faith in AEW. But otherwise, I'm trying to think if I've really had too many like good storylines. No, not really. Price of Glory Wrestling, I was Majin, Lewis Lyndon. I don't know if we're familiar with like Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I did that, so that was pretty cool. No, I really don't. I haven't done a lot of like storyline stuff, and it's kind of one of those things I kind of want to do, especially right now. Having I'm staying in the certain promotions and just wrestling there, so I definitely want to like do more stuff like that, more storyline stuff. That'd be great.
Yeah, you're getting quite frequent bookings in Absolute Intense Wrestling. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, and I've been there forever, so that's my home right currently. So yeah, it'd be great, especially at a place like I've been for a while. I'm almost at 100 matches almost. So
yeah,
just at AIW, so it's pretty crazy.
If you could, or if you were going to, I guess, write yourself a storyline, what would it be? Like, what would the general ideal of it be?
That's a tough question.
Yeah, no, that was a little bit padded question, I guess. It's like, please describe your future career to me.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I definitely want to. Hopefully next year I can get back into the wrestling shape I want to be in, and hopefully I'll make a bigger run next year. This year I've had injuries and stuff like that, and I'm hoping next year I'm healthy and I'll be ready to kind of like branch out again to some more promotions. Maybe get down to Florida, hopefully. Maybe do a seminar, maybe for Evolve.
Mm-hmm.
I worked there before, but obviously this is the hottest time to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, get myself back there again, at least once or something like that, just so people see me again, after, it's been probably this 2010. 2011 is the last time I worked in Evolve. So, maybe go down there. Definitely. That would be my goal for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, Evolve is a lot more cruiserweight friendly than a lot of places.
Definitely.
Cause, I mean, you had like TJ Perkins, I'm pretty sure Gargano and Ciampa were there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gargano was the face of Evolve. I think he's been there since the first show when I was on there. He was there, and then he was there like every show until obviously he said his goodbyes before he went to WWE full time. So,
I mean, with someone who's obviously wrestled for quite a long time with you, have you ever like had any mentors, I guess, or even sought out advice from some people?
I'd say that especially earlier on, definitely my mentor was CJ Otis, because he was my third trainer, Price of Glory. I looked up to him because he just at the time he had just came from All Japan. My ultimate goal was always I want to wrestle in Japan, and he came back, and he had all the squats, all the training stuff, and that's the kind of stuff you kind of like you eat up, because you want to go there. So he kind of helped me, especially when I was starting, to figure out what I want to do, and I guess add variety to what I'm doing, help me stand out. So I'd say he's probably one of the biggest ones I had over the course of my career.
And how important would you say like the veterans teaching the younger wrestlers is?
I think it's important. I mean, I think you need to have good habits and good etiquette. And some people have to before you need to teach you that. I think when you don't have those, you're not going to make it very far. So I think that's just the way it is in wrestling.
Yeah, no, I've mentioned this before, but my cousin tried to train to wrestle once, and he had been doing power bombs or taking power bombs wrong, and no one told him. Yeah, no one told him for like the longest time, and he messed up his elbows because he was, I mean, I don't understand because he didn't do it on any other type of bump.
But he just did it on that one.
Yeah, he just did it on the power bomb.
Yeah, that's you need someone to tell you about that for sure. Yeah, that's I mean, besides like the guidance etiquette, obviously if they're there to tell you what's right and wrong, because obviously they've been doing it and not getting hurt, on whatever it be. So
speaking of getting hurt, what did you watch? You said that you got into wrestling again, like the Attitude Era. Did you watch a lot of the hardcore wrestling?
I watched a little bit. Yeah, I'd probably say a little bit, like Steve Blackman and stuff like that. I mean, I watched the ECW, obviously the hardcore stuff there. That was like Dudley Boys, around that Spike Dudley, like Flaming Tables. I think that was stuff I was watching. I think, and I watched some of the XPW stuff too out of California. That stuff was
Oh yeah,
brutal.
that might have been a little
Brutal.
bit worse than ECW, because at least
Oh, for
ECW
sure.
wasn't run by a porn star.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think maybe the first DVD I got. I don't even. Don't ask me why. I was super into this for some reason right around
Hmm.
that time. But I remember the DVD was like, I don't know if it was something Valentine or something, but it was like a tournament. It was like a deathmatch tournament, and it was just
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
beds of like thumbtacks and
Hmm.
beds of nails and uh. In retrospect, I was pretty. I can't believe I watched like a whole
Hmm.
show of that, but yeah. I mean, I appreciate it, especially when it's like a mix of like, the deathmatch style with like, just like regular, like wrestling,
Hmm.
like, like Big Japan style,
Yeah.
I can watch that and, I still like watching it sometimes. Not like a whole show of death matches,
Hmm.
but, some here and there. And I enjoy it. Would I want to do it? No, not at all.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do it at all. No, but I mean, hey, if, it's entertaining and people are willing to do it, hey,
Hmm.
um,
I mean, have you ever done any, like, I guess hardcore stuff with that?
I really have never really done any hardcore stuff. I've probably gone through a table maybe once or twice.
Hmm.
Maybe
I mean,
I,
and that's not even considered hardcore. That's like if you're
yeah,
gonna.
exactly. Exactly. So there you go. No, nothing more than chairs and a table. That's pretty much as far as I've gone, honestly.
Hmm. Well, also with being an indie wrestler, like, how is the backstage like?
It really depends where you're at. It can be some of the more familiar places I work at. It's just like, it's cool. It's relaxed. People. Then there's other places where you go and it feels like you're on your own.
Hmm.
So, and people are staring at you and wondering why you're here and who brought you here. It just depends, and most of the time, places I go to currently, it's cool, and I know people, um, and it's one of those things where sometimes you people don't know you and they're not going to talk to you, until
Hmm.
impress, and obviously you get accepted and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it's
and you're a lot more, I guess, recognizable now than you were, I guess, 5 years ago. Because
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, you're not gonna get ribbed because you're the rookie anymore.
Yeah, the rookie stage it's a necessary stage, but it can be rough.
Speaking of ribbed, were you ever ribbed by someone in the back before? Like, I'm guessing most wrestlers have been ribbed, but any like notable ones?
I wouldn't know if I'd say I was ribbed, but I was kind of like, you do what you're told. So I remember, where did we go to? We were going to American Lucha Core,
Hmm.
um, and I think this is the stuff that I think I did stuff that I would definitely not do because it's illegal. I I had to. I think they gave me a thing of whiskey and I was driving. Actually, I was getting ready to drive. So, uh, took this shot of whiskey in one of these small bottles, which I'm not really good. That's not my thing. I
Hmm.
think I spit it out. Then I had a bottle of, Gatorade with like the Everclear stuff in it.
Hmm.
And I was told to drink that. And I was driving while drinking this, Everclear. And, that was terrible because I got drunk pretty quick because that's strong stuff and it started raining,
Hmm.
and eventually I was still trying to drive, and they were like, "Oh no, no, you it's like I think you can't see, man. I think you can
Hmm.
go as fast as see." So that's the kind of stuff, not normally, but that's definitely one thing that sticks out in my mind. Is drinking while driving, which is something that's the only time I've ever done that. So
Hmm.
nothing bad happened.
Thankfully, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
well, I guess being stiff isn't really ribbed, but it's kind of like, I mean, who is the stiffest person you've ever worked with? I mean,
I don't really have a name, I'd say. Let me think. It's, Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if I have an exact name, but it's kind of one of those things like, if you expect it, then it's okay. But if it's
hmm
you don't expect it, oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, no.
That's the worst.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, except maybe in Japan, there's not really any, like, Vader types who are notorious for being super stiff. At least not that I know of.
Oh no, no. And, it's funny because when I wrestled in Japan,
hmm
it's just like just like normal wrestling here.
hmm
I mean, mind you, it was cruiserweight, but I mean, it was no different. It was the same. It was the same, except for there was a Japanese crowd, and it had that feel, when you watch Japanese wrestling, it had that feel, but
hmm
otherwise it was normal, it wasn't stiff or anything like that. So I think that's funny. But again, I watched, I was there the first show and I was ringside and I watched, what was his name? It was Masato Tanaka and, let's see, Kohei Sato. Oh my God. It was hard to watch.
hmm
It was hard to watch. I mean, I was like, man, I'm glad I'm not in that match. I mean, but it was a spectacle, it was stiff and it was a spectacle.
hmm Well, with the Japanese crowds, what was that like? Was it any different? I mean, obviously it was different, but, like, did it affect you in any way?
Um, yeah, honestly, like, I kind of, I always feel like the Japanese crowds have a different mindset, and I'm
hmm
not sure if they think it's real or not. Some people say they still do, but their reactions to things are, sometimes it feels like it's more, genuine as opposed to like, part of the show, I guess.
hmm
I was watching a tag match, on that same show, and I've never seen like, the way they were like getting behind the young lion who had, maybe been around for maybe a couple of years, something like that, but he was still in the black trunks, the
hmm
black stage, and you could just feel it because whenever he did something, to one of the vets, the crowd was just oohing and eyeing, like, oh my God, he's actually doing something,
Yeah.
and like, just like one simple pinfall or roll up, near the end of the match, like they're going crazy, because it's like, oh my God, he's gonna get like a pin, and
hmm
then when he finally gets beaten up, at the very end, the crowd like gasp, it's like you can feel it, like it just feels like it had a very like realistic feel of like,
hmm
underdog.
I mean,
I mean, some indie shows are like that, but it kind
mhm.
of, it was very cool, experiencing that.
I mean, and it's not like the Japanese audience have total Joshis completely breaking kayfabe.
Oh, exactly. No, exactly. That's not like that's not even, it didn't seem like a thing,
Yeah.
It's different. It's just like a different feel.
hmm
Then again, sometimes, if you watch Japanese wrestling, the crowd's really quiet, like the whole
hmm
time sometimes. So, I mean, that happens too, but, yeah, it's not, the people aren't going to be yelling stuff to get themselves over in Japan. Like,
hmm
it's not like that.
They're not gonna be yelling what anytime someone finishes a promo. Which I mean, it's not like promos are very frequent there, but I mean, they're not uncommon. But I feel like there's a different. But it's very much more sports there.
Exactly, yeah. Very much, very, very like sport, definitely, of like who's the better wrestler, That's what it's more based on that sometimes.
hmm
Or most of the time it's based on that.
Which is why Bullet Club like tore it up there because they were doing stuff sports entertainment style. Like they weren't
Yeah,
playing by
yeah.
the rules.
Yeah, totally different. So, the stuff that we see all the time, basically, is like a hot new thing in New Japan with the Bullet Club, because they
hmm
don't, it's different, yeah.
All right, well, that's all I really have for right now. Maybe I can get you on sometime in the future. I want to thank you for being on this time, and that'll be it.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. Thanks for having me on. It was a good time.